Team Sonic Racing feels like both an evolution and a diversion from the traditional Sonic Racing formula. While it builds upon the previous Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform game, it also adds on to it, making it feel more like an interesting mutation. There's technically a story here, but like with most kart racing games out there, this one's pretty shallow. One day, Sonic and his friends get a mysterious invitation to the Grand Prix. Unbeknownst to them though, this character inviting them has some ulterior motives. That's as deep as you can get with this story. There are some dialogue scenarios throughout the story mode, but they boil down to just witty conversation that feel like jokes from the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter account. Only they come off as corny here because they're from the actual characters that are saying them. Luckily, if you don't like these moments, you can turn off the audio for the characters and continue on racing, but that also pretty much strips the story out of the story mode. Just like Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform, Team Sonic Racing puts its gimmick in its name. Calling it a gimmick might be a bit rough though, because this feels pretty innovative. During team-based races, coordination with your teammates is rewarded constantly with buffs throughout the race. Anyone that has an item can pass it along to another teammate. Races at the front of the team leave a trail behind that give other teammates following it a boost. Lastly, you can even slingshot a teammate who's falling behind in the race. While all these features are an optional mode in the game, I think it adds some welcome variety to the gameplay. Hearing about it prior to the release, I was rather skeptical about it all. It sounded like gimmicks, but in actual practice, it felt fun. The new features added layers of strategy that weren't there in the traditional free-for-all races. Being in first place, if I got a projectile item that was useless to me at that point, it might be useful to one of my teammates trying to rise up to second place. Moments like this instantly make the team aspects just click. Being in the lead and leaving a boost trail behind made me want to be more considerate with my driving. Performing any of these actions in conjunction with your team also helps build your team ultimate that acts as a buff for the rest of the team. There are a few other additions to the gameplay too. In total, there's 15 playable characters, but they're split up into 3 different categories. Speed characters can deflect projectiles, technique characters can maintain full speed on all types of different terrains, and power characters can break through obstacles. It's great to see some actual differences between the characters besides just the weight classes and looks. However, if you prefer the normal style of racing, that's available too. That traditional racing gameplay feels very much in line to the previous entries in the series. Only now they're a lot less abstract as compared to something like Transformed. Instead of having multiple pathways where your vehicle changes, this follows the more common 3 laps over the same track design. That's not bad by any means, just more common than previous entries. That's when Team Sonic Racing also starts to feel a bit more like a shallow entry in this series, one that plays it safe compared to other games in the genre. The racing mechanics are solid and entertaining, but don't really stand out among the rest. However, if you're just looking for a competent racing game featuring Sonic characters, then this is a great option. You can play up to 4 players locally, although the more players the lower your frame rate, or up to 12 players online with a handful of customization options for lobbies. The new team-based mechanics do truly shine best when you're playing with other human characters. Despite coming from a modified version of the previously used series game engine, Team Sonic Racing looks like a step above from its predecessor. Tracks may not have all these alternate transforming paths like they did before, but their overall design features much more liveliness to them. If you've been a Sonic fan over the years, then you'll recognize a handful of Easter egg design choices throughout the 21 available tracks. Some of these tracks are actually remakes of previously featured tracks, letting you directly compare the upgrade with the new entry in the series. One of the benefits of Team Sonic Racing is its performance. Playing on the PS4 and Xbox One, the frame rates operate at a much higher frame rate at 60 frames per second as compared to the 30 FPS on Transformed. Sadly, the frame rate isn't that consistent as I'd like it to be, occasionally dropping into the 50 frames per second mark. On the Nintendo Switch, the frame rate is more consistent with along 30 frames per second. Personally, I don't like the 30 FPS look on kart racers like this, but having that consistency on the Switch is a nice benefit over the fluctuating frame rate on the more powerful consoles. As for resolutions, it looks like the Switch hits 720p in dock mode while the PS4 and Xbox One hit 1080p and 900p respectively. The enhanced consoles range between 1440p and 4K, with the Xbox One X being the latter. However, if you lock the PS4 Pro's resolution to 1080p, you'll actually find the frame rate to be much more consistent all around. The music in Team Sonic Racing ranges from forgettable to absolute bops. For example, the Bingo Party track sounds so damn familiar from previous games using the same sound samples from other Casino Sonic levels. It's new, but doesn't really feel all that new. On the other hand, Skyroad sounds so damn good. It's fast paced and catchy. If you had told me this was a new track from Hyper Potions for Sonic Mania, I would have believed you. Oh crap, apparently they actually did do some work on the soundtrack for this. Anyway, voice acting, as I mentioned earlier, is a bit rough around the edges. Not so much for the performances themselves, but rather the writing. It's just difficult to take anything that's said seriously here, and it comes off more like a forgettable meme than actual voice work. Team Sonic Racing doesn't do a lot to feel like a step forward for the racing series. Instead, it takes a step to the side, offering a new team-based mode that's entrancing for when you're actually playing locally or online with friends. In practice with AI, it can be hit or miss as you're at times dragged down by your incompetent computer teammate. It doesn't really have a reason for you to pick it up over the likes of Mario Kart 8 on the Switch, and it lacks something major for it to compete against the upcoming Crash Team Racing game. With that said, it's the best Sega kart racer to date with solid performance and great gameplay mechanics, even if it doesn't reinvent the wheel. It's but another great alternative to what's already available on the market for anyone looking for an arcade racer fix.